Hi everybody, in this video we're going to look at how to vectorize a portrait using Adobe Illustrator. So the first thing you want to do is let's change our workspace to from Essentials to Essentials Classic, because for me I like to see the options up top here when we select a tool, and it's really helpful. Okay, so now we have to get the image in. So the best way to bring an image into Illustrator is not by going to File, Open. It's by going to File, Place. And I will search for my image. And it's going to be attached to your cursor here. If I roll around and hover around, I'm going to click to place it. Now you can see that this image is bigger than my artboard. That's what they call that. And that can be fixed. So what you need to do is click anywhere in the gray area around the artboard, around the image, and we'll see now something called Document Setup. And the Document Setup, I'll click, and we'll see Edit Artboards. And you can see where I can now stretch the artboard size, and it'll snap to the size of the image. Okay. Well, or close. All right, and I'm gonna press return and say OK. All right, let's get off of that tool. I'm just gonna click on the move tool, and you can see now it's the correct size. By holding spacebar, you can move around your scene as well. All right, next, how do we vectorize? Well, first you need to select, just click once on the image, and up top we get some options, and here is Image Trace. So it traces it as a default in black and white. We're going to change that. So let me pretend I don't have my options for this. You're going to click on this little button here, and this is the Image Trace panel. It's where we get all the options for changing color and things like that. So click it. This will appear, and what we can do is, if you do want it in black and white, there's a threshold slider which can do more whites and more darks. But we're going to be looking at color. So the mode is in black and white. Let's go to color. And by default, it's going to move us to 30 colors. It'll find 30 colors to try to vectorize this image. Okay. So, okay, we can always add it. Although it looks like the slider only goes up to 30, we could add colors. But one thing with this portrait is I'm kind of wasting my colors on the background. So I could be using 15 colors back here, and it's taking away the colors that it could be finding in my portrait. So in some cases, you might need to cut out your portrait from the background so that it's so that when you image trace, the colors are really focused on your portrait and not all the colors that might be in the background. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to just slide this over. And I'm going to go to Photoshop. And what I'll do is I'm just going to maybe do a selection here. I'm just going to select the portrait. And if it just missed a spot, I can add that. Okay. I'm holding Shift to add anything. All right, so let me zoom out. I'm going to select Inverse and press Delete. And yeah, I can just make that white. Okay, so now I'll save this. All right, coming back to Illustrator, File, Place. Oh, still in File, Place. Okay, and drop that down. Okay, so now let's try this image trace. I'm going to click on image trace. I'm selected on it, image trace. I'm going to go to the options here, and let's go to color. And you can see the difference, 30 colors for this one and 30 colors for this image. I was kind of right. It was wasting a lot of colors on the background leaves and not really focusing on that. So this could be rolled down. Sometimes people like less amounts of color, and we can see what that does. And so I'm going to go somewhere in the middle here. And what's good is you can fix this. So right now it's still one piece. It still moves as one. But what if I wanted to maybe edit the colors in some of this? You can. So if while I'm selecting on it, you can come up, oh, by the way, there are some advanced options if you drop this down in the image trace area here. There are different ways you can have paths that your corners could be crisper or smoother by dragging these around, and how highly detailed that the paths are is this slider. So you can play around with some of these sliders as well. You can also tell it to ignore white so that later, if I slide this over, it's hard to tell, but later you can see I won't have to deal with the white. So I do like to use that sometimes. Okay. Now that I'm done, I'm going to press expand. And what expand does is it makes these shapes into separate shapes. Okay, let's move this away. And it still moves as one if I click and move with the black arrow, but if I take the white arrow, select off of it, and then click a shape, you can see I can actually pull this apart if I wanted to. I could also change the colors of these. So let me show you that. Let's say this color right here, maybe I wanted to go a little lighter, let's just say. But this color is also found in a few other places. So I could take my magic wand. I like to double click it because I don't want my tolerance to be a 32. I'm going to make it a 1. That way, the color it finds here, it's going to find it other places. Only that color, not a color that looks like it. So look, that is a little bit off from it. So I click this, I'm going to go to the magic wand, the tolerance is a 1, I click and it finds some other spots, and that color, while they're selected, I can come over to the color picker here, and I could decide to change those. You can see right there, if I click off. I could do the same thing, get the magic wand, maybe this pink, I'm going to change to purple, and I can do the same with the shade that was a little bit darker. And now all of a sudden I have this kind of a look. So you can there's a lot you can do with this. Obviously it could be scaled holding shift. This here, let's say let me move this over. What if you did want to remove this from the background? So let's say you did like this. Well, we press expand. This time it's going to be a lot of different pieces here. Let's find out. Okay, I could select with my white arrow and take these, I can take chunks here like this and delete and delete. I press delete twice, delete, delete. Or with a magic wand, you could try to delete this way, but it might find a color that it found in the face, so you got to be careful. Another way, there's the lasso tool. This is a lasso tool, so I could kind of do something like this, where I circle kind of the edge, delete, delete. But you could kind of see that this process takes a lot longer than if you just did this in Photoshop, right? It's a lot easier to edit imagery using Photoshop than Illustrator. but you can see we can get there if we wanted to and have the same result. So good luck and give it a try.